Janet Robinson, Superintendent of Schools in Stratford, Connecticut. I've been a superintendent for about 12 years. 5.5 of those years were at Newtown during the Sandy Hook crisis. I'm very passionate about education and making sure all children are successful. And one of the things we know that is really tied to student success is their involvement of their parents. The parents' attitude towards school helps frame a student's success in school. In prior generations, parent support for school was just taken for granted. I behaved in school, frankly, not because I was intrinsically wonderful, but just because my parents gave me a very clear message of how I was to behave in school and how important school was. There was nothing that took any precedence over school. What I've learned in the years as an educator is that we need to involve parents more in their child's education. And I'm not talking about being active PTA members, that's great. But what I'm talking about is really soliciting parent support for what we do in school. There are a couple barriers that get in the way of our doing that. And one of the biggest barriers is teachers are not comfortable talking to parents and asking them for support. We were never trained in our teacher preparation programs how to have a parent conference. When I talk to teachers around the country and say, how many of you ever had any instruction, whether as an undergraduate, as a graduate student, in parent conferencing? It's zero. So when we sit down with parents as a young teacher and we ask those parents to support the work we're doing in school with their children at home, we feel somehow that we are a failure. I should be able to do it alone, and I refer to that as the myth of the good teacher. If you're really a good teacher, you shouldn't have to ask for support. The actual situation, however, is very different. You need parent support. And the parent support is not just in terms of volunteering in school, but really giving their kids a clear message. When you go to school, this is important. So what we need to do is actually go into a active mode of soliciting parent support. In the beginning of the year, we need to let parents know as educators how important their support is for their child's success. I encourage teachers to really get to know the parents at the beginning of the year, not just open house, but to get some information out, make a personal contact. Today in our electronic world, we have so many opportunities to do that. And ask them, what do we need to do to help your child be successful this year? What I've found is that parents who feel that they can approach the school and the teacher listens are much more inclined to be engaged. On their side, parents also have some roadblocks at being engaged. 80% of the parents in a Gallup poll said at one point that they'd be happy to support schools. They want to support their child's education, but they don't know what to do. It's a very, very important thing we do to have children, but it doesn't come with a recipe book. So many parents are not sure what it is they need to do in terms of supporting the school. So when we are talking to parents as professionals, it's important that we listen to them, talk to them, and explain to them how important they are in the messages they give to their children. If they simply say to their child, you know, school's important. What did you do today in school? Talk to me about it. Setting up times for their children to read and study, letting them know that you're going to talk to them. The partnership between a parent and the teacher is incredibly valuable. Including those times when you have children who have some chronic misbehaviors. Chronic misbehavior could be anything from not doing work to a behavior problem within classroom. If you have a relationship with a parent, you're going to be much more likely to be successful in helping that student learn those behaviors that will help him or her be successful. What we tend to do, unfortunately, is wait before we contact a parent until the problem becomes enormous or we're emotional about that problem. Whereas I believe all of us should be contacting the parent when there is no problem, before there is a problem, contacting them at the very first sign of the problem, and rather than talking just about the problem, but let the parents know how much we care. I've really encouraged teachers to start out their conversation with a parent with what I call a caring and concern statement. It is really important for me that Jonathan is successful in my class. I'm concerned that the kinds of behaviors that are going on right now could interfere with his success. And then talk specifically about what that behavior is, and specifically about their talking to their child about that behavior at home. If the students hear the same message from the parent that they're hearing from the teacher, we have a much better chance of being successful as a student. And that's really what it's all about, is student success.